welcome back to our podcast. It's called Every Journey Matters with Avanti Bamanhalli. And today on this journey, as promised, we have part 2 of the 3-part series with Dr. Vinod Sommandas. Now, Dr. Vinod Sommandas has been a scientific expert. He's been in the science of academia, and having done his PhD in cancer and immunology, he's now also dabbling with yoga, the science of breath, and being able to find the intersection of where science and spirituality sort of come together, which is why we love having him on the show. We are going to talk about a lot of things today. We're going to talk about a very interesting topic, which is also very close to my heart, and finally gives me something more to speak to him about today, which is breathwork and meditation, or breathwork and mindfulness, and how we are able to use these on a long-term basis to benefit our health overall. So having said this, let's welcome Dr. Vinod into the conversation. Good morning, Dr. Vinod. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Avanti. I'm doing quite well. I'm quite excited to talk about this subject. So, yeah, we have a different viewpoint, but it's nice that we can add to each other, and also with the science of the breath from the tradition which I learned. So I'm happy to contribute and have a nice conversation and discussion. So let's do this.
Thank you so much for doing this. So, like we've spoken for a bit already, I think it's time that we put some light on the similarities and differences between breath work and mindfulness. And I don't even know if we can use the two together or we can compare the two together. But I think there is a lot of confusion these days about how breath work, using our breath to control our mind, plus mindfulness could be meditation. So I think there is space for where we can clarify a few concepts here for our listeners. And I think that is what I want to do. So if you could start off introducing breath work in how you see it and what it means to you, I'll go on and talk about mindfulness and sort of clarify a little bit around that too.
Yes, thank you. Let's go first into breath work, because it's derived from the Sanskrit word pranayama, and this has two meanings. So it means control of the prana, so the vital force, but it's also expansion of the vital force. So it has at least two meanings. Only limiting to breath is going much deeper than that. The breath is just a superficial work of the breath, but actually it's working with energy which is going beyond the physical body. So it has a profound effect also beyond only the physical aspect. You can talk a lot about it. So it has the first thing which is quite eminent is that it is controlling the nerves. So by calming the nerves, it's directly also affecting the mind, and thereby also the prana. It's like they describe in literature, in the yoga literature, that it's the grossest vehicle of prana. So by using that pranayama, the breath, then you can really control that vital force, which is essential to life all across the universe. So it is really the entry point. So using that breath, you can control things which are now involuntary, and you can make them you can make conscious control of things which we think we cannot control. That is a nice thing. And also that is also referring to the mind, actually. So we can bring it under volitional control.
Right.
Also other bodily processes. If you really are the master of pranayama, then you can control the whole body. You can steer all the parts in the body, like stopping the breath. What the masters of the Himalayan tradition have shown, that you can suspend breath. It's not killing you, and there's also in different traditions there. When you can control that, then for a few hours it's possible. That's really high level, of course, but it's not that we are not aiming directly, but that is possible.
And so there's a lot of questions that come up when you say what you say. The first one being, when we say vital life force, can you add some light? I know there has been a lot of conflict and conversations around whether we can see life force, whether we can see the prana that we talk about, or not. I mean, especially because of your background, which is so steeped in science, how are you able to put some lens into what life force is?
Yeah, from the scientific point of view, it's quite difficult to explain, because it's such a subtle form of energy that is, with the current equipment, it's not measurable yet. So it's more like what the masters have experienced, and they have received by seeing their own self in a higher state of consciousness. I have not reached that, so it's difficult to explain. And also from the scientific point, it's difficult to explain. We know that there, like the outcomes from working with the breath, there are so many effects. Like it has effect on the waves in the brain. It has effects on the health state of a person. People with depression, when they do breath work, that will improve. There's a lot of also scientific evidence, but the direct showing the prana, that is quite difficult.
Yes, because and this is also what I have heard. There have been some very preliminary studies trying to study the prana, but it hasn't been possible to write any substantial evidence or find any substantial evidence around it. So it's something that we are going to keep trying, and we'll see. Probably science will come to the stage where we're able to also experience it in front of us, that we
Exactly,
can
yes.
visibly see life force.
Yeah.
But I mean, from a yogic perspective, then, what are the signs of a good thriving life force inside of you? What kind of symptoms will you have if you have a good life force running through you?
Yeah. So what I found in one of our books is that this is actually in Science of Breath. So when you have good control of the breath, that will have a lot of benefits. So the general health will be better. You will get the increase in the strength and your energy, that will improve.
Right.
Because when you are doing pranayama, for instance, the nadi shodhanam, nadi shodhanam means channel purification. So we have these energy channels which are called the nadis, and
Right.
when you do that practice of nadi shodhanam regularly and often, then that will purify your whole energy channel, and also will change your personality. That's stories I've heard which are quite nice, that there was a woman in India, she was doing it, then she changed so much her personality, then the family said, let's stop that because you have changed so much. So it will really purify your energy channel. So it can really change also your mind, but your complete personality. So that's quite interesting.
Oh,
You'll have a good complexion when you do good breath work and you have good prana. Your vitality will increase, also growth of knowledge will increase, and your lifespan will increase. So there are really profound effects by doing this pranayama, and you feel much more open, vital. Your mind will be more clear, so you can perform much better. So it has a lot of benefits in daily life.
that is very interesting.
And that expels also all the impurities in by doing that practice, all the impurities, so physical and mentally, will be expelled.
Yes, because I think also coming from a more traditional, and this is because I think our civilizations in countries like India or China date back to so many thousands of years ago, that they have very similar sort of take on how the breath works, be it yoga, be it breath work, be it Tai Chi, for example, or a Qigong practice.
Yeah.
There are very similar practices which help you clear out your energy channels, and then use the universal force to then add purer energy to yourself, or to cleanse your energy, and then to revive the energy within you. And so, be it the lymphatic system, be it the autonomic nervous system, I think it is not proven, like we said, and that is why it's so hard to talk about both in the same breath, I think it is. But also you can see that there is a natural calm and ease that comes in when you do a practice like Qigong, for example, or yoga, like you're saying. Absolutely.
Yeah. And one of the things I would like to add, like one of the things we practice, because when you want to do meditation, you need a diaphragmatic breath. That's the most efficient breath. You can also see it with babies. They're not able to use the breast, the chest breathing. So they will, that's only the diaphragmatic breathing. And then also the lower parts of the lungs will be filled and with blood and be oxygenized. So that is the most important. And that breath will also lead more to parasympathetic sympathetic activation. So will calm down the body and the nerves. So that is quite important. And that is something which can be applied in stressful situations. It will really lower the stress. You can go down to really low amounts of breaths per minute with diaphragmatic breathing, and that will quickly calm you down. So I think that is one of the very important things, that people become aware that chest breathing is not beneficial in normal situations. And when you do that, a lot of people have that high chest breathing during the day, and when you become more trained in doing that diaphragmatic breathing, then you directly become less stressed, and also the mind will calm down, and so that will be beneficial in the long term.
And this is very interesting, because I think, like I mentioned in the beginning, I will also sort of draw parallel to how mindfulness and how the principles from mind body technique has been used in mindfulness. So essentially, mindfulness is a tool which allows you to remain present in the current moment. A lot of our reactions come from how we've grown up, what we've done in our lives before, what we've been taught unconditionally, and we've been conditioned by the society, so to say. When someone says hello, you're going to say hello back. So that's sort of conditioning. We're always operating within. And when we come to a certain stage in our lives, we feel like we're just going in this circle of patterns because we are so attuned to all the life experiences we've already had that we've stopped learning any new responses. And I think mindfulness to me brings, in a way, a change in behavior, or like an opening where you could then start looking at, it's literally an aperture where you willingly take up a practice to bring you back to what is available and present and happening only in the now, which then allows you to integrate yoga. It allows you to integrate tools to heal you and your experiences, and then move ahead. And so literally mindfulness is being able to bring back your breath, bring your attention back to your breath in the current moment in a way that is powerfully anchoring you, grounding you into your body and into the present moment without worrying about the future or thinking about the past. And the breath, and like you said, I think the grossest feature of our body, which is connecting the body and mind, our breath, is the one strongest anchor that we can go back to. And I think that's how mindfulness features anyway in this tradition between yoga and the science of managing our energy. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, the nice thing is it's something anyone can apply, and it has a quick effect. And it will directly change your mind in an instant. So that is the nice thing about the breath. And there are several things pranayama practices, like I told about the Nadi Shodhanam, that will also balance the left and the right hemisphere, so they become more in balance, like the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, because in our society, the people are more active, so more sympathetic, but then the parasympathetic system will also join in, and by using that breath work, for instance, using Ujjayi breath, and exhaling long time, then we also activate like the 10th nerve, the vagal nerve, and that will also decrease stress, but directly also affect the mind also in a positive way.
Right. And then that is so interesting that you bring out the vagal nerve. My question was next, what sort of breathing activities or breathing techniques you would prescribe, or you would suggest that we use in our day-to-day life? And I think you mentioned pranayama, you mentioned Nadi Shodhana and Ujjayi, but if you have any other techniques that you'd like to elicit on, please do that. And also in relation to the vagus nerve and how they connect together, if you could say a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. That's a good question. Nadi Shodhanam is a bit more complicated, but when you can master it, it's quite nice, because it's known, these rishis discovered, so the seers have discovered that not a lot of people know it, that from the left to the right nostril, there is always a cycle. So it changes every 2 hours from the left to the right, because these are erectile tissues, and it's nothing to do with having a cold, but this will always switch from left to right, and doing that Nadi Shodhanam will bring the balance into that, and also directly balance the breath, the mind also, the left and the right hemisphere. By doing that, your whole attitude will be more balanced. There's also described by Dr. Rudolph Valentine, that for instance, when you have on one side, it's like predominant for 1 hour or few hours on one side, then there's like a prelude that you become ill. So by changing the stream, because if it's for a few hours on one side, that is something is in imbalance. So that is really, you should be concerned then that something is going wrong. And then you have different techniques you can use to make it more balanced. So I think that is one of the nice things. And also what I practiced recently, also gave the workshop, I think, which is nice, is the using the B sound, Brahmari Pranayama. That's also very nice. So you have the mantra Om, but then you only use the last part, the and then you can close the ears, so that is more vibrating. So that is like giving a gentle message to the brain and directly calming down the brain, and slowing down the thoughts, or balancing the thoughts. So that's quite nice. That's a nice practice before you go to sleep, when you have like a full mind from the whole day. You can use the Brahmari. That's a very simple thing. You just use the without putting the teeth together, just keep a small gap, but then you will really feel that vibration, and it's really, after that, you feel that the mind is becoming more lighter. So that is also a practice I can recommend. And of course, Ujjayi, it's also something which is nice, that you are really breathing for a long time. Like, for instance, you inhale 4 seconds and exhale for like 6 or 8 seconds. And by exhaling for a long time, that will activate also the vagal nerve. So the heartbeat will slow down, stress levels will go down. So that's some, these 3 practices are really, really nice. And there's more practices, but these are things which really will calm down the mind and the body also. So.
Right. And what you're pointing, and thank you so much. I mean, this is fantastic to even fathom. And I think when you set it out in context, the way you're doing it, I think it's incredibly helpful, even for listeners who've never practiced yoga, for example. I think this is important, that they understand that there could be some aspects of yoga that they could use, which actually help without being without being signed up to any religion. I mean, it could be used as a completely secular practice too. So
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. Yoga is you can do it independently. It doesn't matter which religion you are, if you're atheist. These things are really applicable and have directly effects on the physical and the mental part. So I think anyone can apply it. And even like yoga, the whole routine is maybe too much for people, but you can use, like, for instance, this pranayama, the breath work, take these things, and then when you use it, it can directly affect you and can change. You can start with small things, and then if you want more, you can do more, but you can do small things that can really change you just by observing how is my breath in a difficult situation. Then you can actively say, okay, I bring it down to the belly, to the diaphragmatic breath, and directly it will change your attitude. And or also after a difficult encounter, then you can directly apply that breath to come back to yourself. You can start with, okay, I become aware of the body from head to toe. I become aware of the place I'm sitting. Let me become aware of the here and now. And then I bring my attention to the breath. That's something we also do in the Himalayan tradition. Before we start a new task, we just sit down and then only observe the breath for 2 minutes. That's something simple. Just follow the in stream and the out stream. Feel the contact in the nostrils. And just close the eyes for 2 minutes, and then this will really bring you down back from the external world to yourself, to the body and to the breath. So this is, you can use as a tool to come back to yourself.
Yes. Yes. And I think setting the intention, I would also use the same technique within a coaching conversation, for
Exactly. Yeah,
example.
sure.
Because what it does is it really zones us in and sets our intention to say that we are sort of taking a break from the external demands that we have on our time to just come into ourselves. Absolutely.
Yeah. This is true.
That is
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah, that's a nice addition. That directly reminds me that, like, for instance, in a lot of religions, before you start eating, then you do a prayer or have like silence. And with coaching work and in a lot of situations, just good to sit quietly, and you can use the breath also. Then you come back to the situation, to the here and now, and then from there you can really have a good conversation. I think that is important. So using that silence and the breath, that combination, I think that is perfect to go into coaching routine or have a conversation.
Absolutely. No, that's fantastic. And so you're saying, Vinodji, that ultimately it is our breath that can help us control our body and mind. And so there's a lot of talk about how it's important to master our emotions. And these are very fancy words. You hear like a monk saying it, but how do we actually come to the practical experience of it? Also, if you'd like to use an example that you may have sort of mastered your emotion, how would you bring that to our listeners?
Yeah, for instance, when you feel like anger coming up, then you can just go to the breath and then calm that breath. The moment you start calming down the breath, then the emotion of anger that will directly go down. So in that way, when you feel it coming, because you can feel the anger, for instance, in your stomach, you feel it coming, and then directly you just go to the breath, and then the moment you're aware I'm angry, then you go to the breath, and then you start exhaling for a long time. That will directly calm down the mind. You can feel it. I feel it personally, that the mind is directly, the energy is becoming less and less. It's become really calm. So that's something really, yeah, you can apply. You can try it. It's just experimenting with yourself. Be a scientist with your body and your mind, and then play with it, and then see, oh, I can apply this indeed in a situation. And then when my emotions are balanced, I will say things which are more rational, and I won't say something stupid. And then I can say something in a balanced way, yeah, because my emotions are balanced. So this is something you can apply. So this is something easy you can use in a daily situation.
That is very helpful and very interesting. And interesting is, I think, where for me as a mindfulness practitioner and teacher, the only difference that I see in breathwork and mindfulness, so to say, is the fact that in a mindfulness practice, we would encourage people to actually feel that anger in their
Yeah,
body,
yeah,
to actually feel that sensation, to say, find out what are the body sensations that show up when you get angry, what are thoughts that are rising up, and to experience that full that full expression of anger
yeah,
as an emotion within yourself.
yeah,
Because what that does is that it completely brings down the urge to then act externally, because then you bring your attention to what is happening inside you. It takes you away physically and mentally from the situation which is
yeah,
outside of you.
yeah,
And so I think in yoga, that is not how you would say. In fact, I've also heard people say that you're encouraged not to feel your emotion in a yogic tradition. Is
yeah.
that true?
That is not completely true. Of course, you're allowed to feel it, but you can modulate that. Huh? So because being angry for a long time is not that healthy.
Yes,
So you can modulate it, but it's good. You also become aware of that emotion, but you can quickly modulate it. So not
sure.
be,
Yeah.
so you should still experience it, of course, but and then
Yes,
you can change that pattern. For instance, because there's like a certain trigger, and that will bring that emotion. That is all that is with a lot of people, but by changing that pattern and with using also cognitive behavioral therapy, you
yeah,
can change that pattern by changing that dysfunctional pattern with a functional pattern. So
right. With you using more sort of healthier ways to manage.
Exactly, yeah. Because shouting and becoming angry is not always the healthiest way, but you
Yeah,
can change that reaction because the situation is neutral, but you
yeah,
can change your out the way you react. That's a nice thing. And that brings me also a bit from not to the pranayama, but in yoga, in the Raja Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga, the eightfold path of yoga, there are things to purify emotions and thought that is before the pranayama. These are like the yamas and niyamas. For instance, one of the most important principles is ahimsa, non-violence. So you can observe your mind, and in meditation you constantly see your mind passing by with all kinds of emotions. You try to become an observer. So there's a thought coming, but I only look at it. But by doing that, I've seen that okay, there's in daily life there's a dysfunctional thought coming. I can replace it, or I can take a step back and then change my reaction. Instead of being automatic pattern, I change that reaction. And so that's the nice thing. By observing your mind all the time in yoga, you can change. Instead of okay, I become angry, now I start shouting, I can change that reaction.
that
And
I become angry and I go out for a walk.
exactly, instead, yeah,
Yeah,
let's take some fresh air and calm
yeah,
down. Let's watch the nature, and then I calm down. Or let's walk to the sea if it's close by. So these things are changing. But the nice thing, like for ahimsa, because the anger, this comes from your mind.
right,
uh, and then there so from that mind there are thoughts coming, and then there's an action. So in the beginning, when I modulate that, and I can see, okay, I have no violent thoughts,
yeah.
that is not really helping me in daily life. Let's change that. And also when I change that, then also the actions will be changed also.
Yes, yes. And I think the first step, and like you're saying too, I think the first step is to even recognize what thoughts are going on in our
Exactly. Yeah,
minds.
yeah,
And I think for which calming our mind or just sitting down with setting an intention to see what is the current state of our mind is such an important aspect. No, I'm loving this discovery. What I also realized in my sort of experience is I grew up in India and we've now sort of been living outside of India, and we lived in China. Now we're in Europe a little bit. So I think what I notice is also how language plays a very important part in how we deal with our emotion. In India, I have not been, at least the language that I speak does not have very many associations of emotions. I mean, there are 3 or 4 big gross words which sort of explain what an emotion could be. But then if you look at sort of the English way of how the emotion chart is made, it talks about how many possibilities there are and how you can talk through the emotion is very different. And therefore, when you give the array of emotions a language, I think you're a lot more adept at handling it.
Yes, yeah, this is true. That's also true. Also, when you look at cognitive behavioral therapy, then if you know the emotions, it becomes less fake, and then you can really steer it also.
That's it. And I think sometimes languages create the barriers that we don't, that we have to step out of to learn more and sort of be able to imbibe within ourselves. So it's an interesting expression, and we could literally go on for a very long time.
Yeah, I think so. Yes, yeah. It's very nice conversation. I think it's nice that we are going into different fields. So
yeah, absolutely. But I'm looking at my watch, and we have about 10 minutes, Vinodji.
Yeah.
I remember when we spoke that we will talk about sort of not talk about, but we will demonstrate a little bit of a breathwork exercise so that people who are watching, listening are able to sit down and experience the spectrum of what breathwork would mean. A lot of times mindfulness is associated with meditation, which is not, and I will probably have to do a podcast to talk about that sometime. But I think I will be happy to do a short mindfulness session if you're also willing to do like a short Ujjayi breath demonstration, or you should pick.
I think Brahmari is easier than people. This is something simpler. Ujjayi breath is a bit more complicated, but let's do Brahmari, and that's something you can hear the sound. It's easy to replicate. Ujjayi is also not complicated, but I think Brahmari is a bit simpler because you do an inhalation, and then with the exhalation, then you start pronouncing the and then people can close their ears. Then you can also do this. This is even this is the Baka Mudra, but
like
so
that.
You put the index finger on the eye.
Okay.
And the middle finger next to the but I would recommend just in the beginning actually that people just use the index finger and close that. That's simpler.
That's
and that's also having the strong effect.
Okay. And is it the same? Is it the same like having 4 fingers up and then having
Then you use the thumb because this is more like bringing attention to the senses, that you are closing the senses sort of, and that you go more internal. And that's why you used it. But this can be quite tiring for people because you have to open the arms up. So that other one is just simpler, but that's also almost as effective. And you can do, for instance, you can start by doing 3 breaths, and then when you feel comfortable, you can expand to 5, 7, 9, and then you can close the eyes and then observe. Just before you start, just observe how is my body, my breath, and my mind. And then afterwards, you observe how is my body. After doing that practice, how is the breath and how is my mind? Do I feel that it's more calm? What has changed? So that's something you can observe. Just observe these 3 things beforehand and after. Then you're like the observer, the scientist. Okay, there's a small change. I feel more calm now. I can sleep better, or can go better into like a meeting, for instance. So you can just observe this. So this is just
taking an in-breath, right? Taking an in-breath. I'm going to try it, as you say, just so that our viewers feel comfortable doing it also.
Shall I start the instruction?
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, when you close the ear, you don't hear me. So let's do 3 breaths. So you inhale, and then with exhalation, you do the and then close the ears. Yes?
And another time.
Just 2 times, huh? Then just do it 2 times and then let me know what you feel afterwards.
There is definitely a quietening.
Yes.
I feel the left shoulder relaxing. There is also the expansion in my abdomen. I feel like there was, how do I say that? I was able to breathe from the abdomen,
Yes,
because that could be really hard. When I was talking earlier with you, I was really chest breathing, but
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah,
And so I could really draw my breath down to my abdomen. So it makes it a little more relaxing or fuller breath.
yeah. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, the same thing happens with Ujjayi breath. It will go down more, and you will feel also the calming of the mind because you exhale a long time. But yeah, this is nice before sleeping, yeah, because when you are more at the chest or you're excited, and then it's difficult to sleep, and then also a lot of thoughts will come. And then from one thought comes the other, etc. But by this, it will calm the mind quickly. So this is perfect practice for before sleeping and other things.
Yes, this is fantastic. Thank you so much for the
Welcome.
demonstration.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, and I think to keep my promise then, to keep my side of the bargain, I'm going to, are you ready to do like a 3-minute mindfulness
Yeah, sure.
meditation, Vinodji?
Yes, thanks a lot.
Okay. So we begin with our spines away from the backs of our chair, sitting in a dignified position, shoulders resting, our neck held well on our shoulders. And we have the option here to keep our eyes open or to leave our eyes closed. We begin with bringing our attention to our breath, to our nostrils, if that is easier. Breathing in and breathing out through our nose. And simply remaining with our breath for the next couple of minutes. Allowing yourself to watch the body adapt to hold your breath in and to watch your body let the breath go out. Observing any sensations in the body here. A tingling, a relaxation, a tightening. Simply being aware of what is being shown inside your body right now. And thoughts will show up as they would normally. But watching them as an observer, as if watching clouds in the sky moving away from you. And now bring your awareness to your entire body, expanding that awareness along with your breath. To then bring yourself back into this room and to the screen in front of you. I invite you to open your eyes when you're ready. And join the session back.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Thanks a lot. I feel quite calm after this. So beautiful.
Do you feel that way? Yes. And you're a yoga practitioner. So how is your experience? I would love to hear a
I
bit
felt first some tension in like here, but then I felt it decrease, and also I feel really that the mind was calm. In the beginning there were some small thoughts, but later it became really like blank quickly. So it's really
Wow.
you have a calm voice, so that's also helping. So yeah,
Yes.
so it's really
Thank you. No, and I think for us to be able to, what I love about these sessions is that we're able to experience the difference and sort of bring out what each practice brings to us. And I think it's not about whether you must use mindfulness or you must use yoga, but it's to say that we have a lot of tools available to us to heal ourselves as individuals. I think it's our responsibility towards the newer generations, I think. So these are some tools that we have at our disposal. But I mean, coming down to some final thoughts, Vinodji, what would you like to leave our listeners with? What is your message? What would you like to say as we prepare to finish?
I think we have covered a lot of different aspects, but I think that if you work with that breath, it can change your whole personality. I think it's good investment because it's not only in daily life, but also vitality will be improved and also your longevity. So I think it's something, it's affecting every day your daily life. So it's something in private it will be beneficial, but also in corporate it will have benefits. So if you can work with it, it will be very beautiful, I think. So I would recommend, if you are interested, try to find a good teacher or apply it and keep it simple in the beginning. See what fits for you and then apply it, because it's really changed my life in a positive way. So such a dramatic way. So I think it's really something people should be just try it out without prejudice. Just follow some classes and then see how if it's beneficial for you or not. So that's the thing I would like to give to the people.
That is amazing, and I hope that they're able to look up the work that you've done so far, and I will add those details into our end screen, so that is of course possible for also people who are not in the same city as you. I think it's important to find places, like you said, to go and practice these.
Yeah, exactly. But we can also organize online practices. Like these things you can also do online. Like we have also like point-to-point breathing and relaxation or Soham meditation. These things can also be done online. So when people want to, we can they can send me their information, and then we can do like sessions like breathing sessions. So that's always possible. I also wrote some blogs on like breathing practices and also yoga practices, so they can get some background information to see if it's interesting for them.
Absolutely. Yes. And I think the more we're able to hack our own thinking, and I don't like to use the word hack so much because it has very different connotations, but I think if we don't change how we have been for so many years, I think we will have the same result that we've had so far.
Exactly. Yeah.
That our energies, that our planet is going to suffer. And so it is high time that we change the way we behave to situations which keep repeating. And so mindfulness, be it yoga, and I think the varied, I mean, yoga as a structure is so amazingly unique and wide in scope that we will do another session where Dr. Vinod is going to, I don't know how you're going to do this, Vinod, but it will be difficult. I will leave that to you, but we will try to bring the best out of your yogic sort of knowledge out into an hour, or probably even a little bit longer, if that's
Maybe, yes, yeah. I'm thinking, we cannot cover the whole subject because it's such a fast topic, yoga. You can talk for a whole day, possibly, and with all the practices, So I think we will have to see, cover maybe one or two topics and go in depth into these things, because we can go into all the subjects. But people can always approach you if they want to know more. We can have one-on-one. If they want to have more information or background information, because this tradition is really more than 5,000 years old. It's a very old tradition. So everything has already been tested during the time. So they have shown that it's really effective for thousands of years. So it's not something which came recently. So that's the beautiful thing about this ancient art. The knowledge and the experience is really fast. There's been many masters, so it's really beautiful. But yeah, I will try to cover something. I think maybe 1 hour 50 minutes. Don't want to make it too lengthy. 1.5 hour. Let's see what we can cover. I'm quite happy to share these things from this old tradition.
It's immense that you're able to, and you have the energy and sort of the compassion to share this so freely with people who want to listen. I think we lack for people who can share the mindset so much. So I think what you're doing is indeed very is appreciated entirely. Yeah. But thank you so much, Vinodji. I think I have learned a lot myself today. But I think I'm really looking forward to the one session on yoga. So that is going to be my master session of learning this time.
Thanks a lot, Avanti. Yeah, I really appreciate your contribution and also what you're doing. It's very beautiful. So it's nice that we can contribute something to the world. That I think it's also, I find the responsibility that when you have that knowledge and then you can share that, it's really beautiful. It's like I'm also like a small ambassador of the Himalayan tradition. There are many of them, but try to be humble. But it's nice that you can share that information and then people become aware, because it's one of the really authentic traditions. It's been dating back for so many years, and a lot of these practices were also secret and sacred, because they were being kept by these people, the yoga masters. They were secret for many years, and now we can just use it. So it's really beautiful, and they're really really going deep. I've done practices like relaxation practices. Then after that, you feel really like you are revitalized. You can do anything the whole day. It's really like your battery is recharged. So that's really helping in daily life. It's really beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait for the session. Yes, but we'll bring that out very soon. And thank you then for today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Dr. Vinod. Have a lovely week.